Chevrolet Studio Annex. This is Timeout Overtime on the Timeout Overtime YouTube channel. I'm your host, Rick Arsenal, and that's right. Surprise, surprise, I have an official sponsor now, thanks to the good people out at Beck Chevrolet. From Franklin to Buck to Chris, Bob, everybody out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We finally got this done. And as I say, Timeout with Andy Brown, we do that from the Frank Beck Studios. I will, from here on in, be doing this from the Frank Beck Studio Annex. And I thought, in their honor, we would lead off with their ad tonight. So here we go. Timeout Overtime is sponsored in part by Frank Beck Chevrolet and M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville. If it's time for a new to you vehicle, let the sales professionals at Beck's help you choose the right vehicle. New or pre-owned, Beck's has the top selection in the tri-state area with over 200 vehicles in stock. Stop by and see for yourself. And when you're ready, ask for Russ McMorty, Kurt Hodis, Danny Smith, Adam Schaefer, Blake Bryant, Cameron Mincio, or their newest sales professional, the incomparable Bob Flynn. Yeah, that Bob Flynn. And when it comes time to service that new to you vehicle, the service pros at Beck's can fix it. Any make, any model, Ford or domestic, Beck's can fix it. And if you have a bit of a crunch or fender bender, Beck's Body Shop can put it back together good as new. So for all your automotive needs, look no further than Frank Beck Chevrolet at M99 between Hillsdale and Jonesville. 517-849-2886 or on the web at frankbeckchevy.com. Come experience the Frank Beck difference, and together, let's drive. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everybody out at Beck's. I'll be elaborating on this. I have a lot more to say on Timeout with Andy Brown. So stand by for that. But again, everybody at Beck Chevrolet, thank you so much. This has been in the works for a while now, but they are my official sponsor. Thank you. I thought we'd lead off tonight with some hockey news. The NHL and the NBA are both in their conference semifinals right now. As you know, too, the Toronto Maple Leafs have been eliminated once again in the first round of the playoffs. They were knocked out by the Bruins, and obviously because of that, the Leafs has fired their head coach Sheldon Keefe. This fourth time in 5 years under Keefe that they have been eliminated in the first round. I guess somebody had to lose their job, and it was Keefe. I think the general manager should also be out the door along with him. How does he get to stay and Keefe is gone? I don't know, but don't worry about Keefe. He'll end up next year as somebody's assistant. Looking at the East semifinals in the NHL, let's go back and look at last night. The Hurricane lost to the Rangers in overtime last night, 3-2. So the Rangers now have a commanding 3-0 lead in that conference semifinal. The Panthers and Bruins are playing tonight in Boston. That series is tied at 1 game apiece. Pardon me, looking over in the West, last night the Stars beat the Avalanche 5-3 to even that semi-series up at 1 game apiece. And the Canucks, who have a 1-0 lead over the Oilers, are playing out the Canadian Rockies. No, they're not. They're still in Vancouver yet. So they're playing in Vancouver tonight. That's the second game of that series. If the Canucks can win, they'll take a 2-0 lead in that series. Looking over the NBA, in the East semis, the Cavs beat the Celtics last night rather handily, 118-94 to even that series up at a game apiece. And tonight, the Knicks, with a 2-0 lead on the Pacers, are in Indiana to play them tonight. Meanwhile, over in the West, the Mavs last night, even their series with the Oklahoma City Thunder with a 119-110 win. And tonight, the Nuggets are playing the team that I am picking to go all the way in this thing, the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have a 2-0 lead in that series. In fact, I'm picking my NBA Finals. I've got the Knicks and the Mavs in the NBA Finals. I like both teams, but anyway. So I thought I'd get you caught up on what's going on in the NBA. Also, before we get into the Lions, let's look at the pitching matchups for the Tigers Astro series this weekend. Tonight, it's Robert Valdez for the Astros. He's got a record of 1-1 with a 3.97. Going up against Casey Mize for the Tigers. Mize is 1-1, 3.98. Saturday afternoon, it's Christian Javier. He's 2-0 with a neat ERA of 1.54. The Tigers ace Terry Skubal pitches tomorrow. He's 4-0 with an ERA of 1.90. And then JV, Justin Verlander, is pitching on Mother's Day. He's 1-1 with a rather elevated ERA of 4.43 going against the Tigers' Jack Flaherty, who has not won a game yet. He's 0-2 with an ERA of 3.86. Also, let's say something too about the Bally Sports issued an open letter earlier in the week, rather lengthy letter. And of course, both sides are blaming the other in this dispute with Comcast. The Bally claiming that they have attempted to bargain in good faith. They wanted their product, they wanted the Tiger games kept on Comcast Xfinity while they were still negotiating, and Xfinity said nothing doing. This is, it's going on now, what, a little more than a week. I think this is going to be a rather lengthy stalemate. I don't see either side giving in, and that's too bad because, like I've said before, the losers in all this are the fans. Not that the Tigers are that great of a product to watch anyway, but what are you going to watch in the summertime, right? Yeah. Well, the Lions did sign a free agent defensive tackle a couple of days ago. Kyle Peko, P-E-K-O, Kyle Peko, 30-year-old veteran who initially signed as an undrafted free agent in 2016 with the Denver Broncos. He's been with several teams the last few years. The last couple of years, he's been with the Tennessee Titans. He started 10 games for them last year. It just so happens that the Titans defensive line coach last year is now the Lions' current defensive line coach, Terrell Williams. And I'm sure Williams had a hand in bringing him over here. He's a pretty good run stopper. Not much of as far as applying any pressure, getting up the middle at the quarterback. But his forte, you might say, is stopping the run. And I'm sure that Terrell Williams, the Lion defensive line coach, had a lot to do with him bringing him into Detroit. So anyway, I mentioned too that the Lions started rookie minicamp today, and it goes through Sunday. Absent Dan Campbell, who was away on personal business. They're going to have another minicamp in a couple of weeks. I'm sure Campbell will be back for that. Let's hope there's nothing serious. Anyway. Also, this rookie mini camp, before they started today, they did announce new numbers for all of these rookies. By the way, 4 of the 6 players that the Lions drafted in the draft are already signed. The only 2 unsigned players left are Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw, the 2 top picks. I'm sure they get something done. But anyway, Isaiah Williams, the wide receiver, undrafted wide receiver, signed as a free agent out of Illinois. He will wear number 83. I mention that because I fully expect him to make the team. No doubt in my mind that he will make the team. Terrion Arnold, 0. He would be wearing 0. That means he's telling the opposition that's how many passes you're going to complete against him. Maybe. Ennis Rakestraw will wear number 15. Offensive lineman, big offensive lineman, Giovanni Manu will wear number 59 again. It's kind of an odd number for an lineman, although Benet Sewell wears number 58. So, and what they're doing now with numbers, I guess it doesn't really matter as much as it used to. Running back Sione Baki will wear number 33. Defensive tackle Mickey Wingo will wear number 94, and offensive guard Christian Mahogany will wear number 73. I thought Brad Holmes, in an interview with the flagship, I believe it was Wednesday morning, had some interesting things to say in regard to Jared Goff and getting a deal done. As you recall, the day before the draft, when the Lions signed both Amon-Ra St. Brown and Penei Sewell and these huge lucrative contracts back to back within a couple of hours of one another, everybody assumed they might have something to say about Goff's contract. Adam Schefter reported the same day that there was nothing imminent as far as the Lions reaching a deal with Goff. Excuse me a minute. I think Brad Holmes sounded pretty reassuring when he was asked about a Goff deal. Basically, he was telling his message to the fans was, chill out, we're going to get this done. And contracts this big and this lengthy take time. And he pretty much assured everybody, but by the time the Lions open training camp on July 29th, Goff will have a new deal. It's going to get done. I have no doubt. He was also asked about what he thought about the Lions' wide receiver depth, now that they've lost Josh Reynolds to Denver. And he said, he said they expect big things from Donovan Peoples-Jones, who, when he came in last year, just after the trade deadline, didn't really know the playbook. He was targeted a few times. I thought he did all right. He's still only 26. They expect him to have a big year. Of course, he said they expect a lot out of Jameson Williams as well. And also Antoine Green, 7th round draft pick last year out of North Carolina. Big guy with speed. I'm sure he'll have a lot more playing time this coming season. They will be relying on him a lot more than they did last season. So he didn't sound too overly concerned about the wide receiver depth. He did rule out going out and signing somebody. I don't know who's left out there. I had a list. If you watch the last couple of shows, I had a list of available free agents, wide receiver free agents who were still out there. Since then, I think pretty much all of them have signed with somebody else. DJ Chark was one of the last ones left on that list, and he signed with the LA Chargers. So, but I thought the tone of voice that Brad Holmes used when asked about Goff I thought was pretty reassuring. He pretty much assured everything there was going to get a deal done. I'm really too concerned about that. I want to close too by saying one thing about the Tigers for a few minutes. As much as we malign the offense, their lack of hitting, defense a little bit, runners in scoring position, not getting them in. I'm a little bit concerned about the back end of the bullpen. Is it possible too that we're giving AJ Hinch a little more credit that he deserves? What I mean by that is I didn't really understand the way he was managed the bullpen on Wednesday in Cleveland when he had Jason Foley in there in the 7th inning. And Andrew Chafin closing in the 9th. Of course, as it turns out, they lost the game, but I can think of at least 4 or 5 occasions this year where the Tigers took a lead into the 9th inning and lost the game. You had one against the Mets early in the season, and now the Yankees, both New York teams, you took a 1-0 lead to the 9th inning and you lost the game 2-1. First game of a doubleheader here in Detroit last week against St. Louis. That was the Flaherty 14 strikeout game. They took a 1-0 lead to the 9th inning, lost the game 2-1. And then there was the fiasco Wednesday in Cleveland. Chafin gives up what Dan Dickerson, I didn't see it, what Dan Dickerson described as a wind-blown home run that probably in the majority of the other ballparks in big league baseball would not have been a home run. In other words, he was saying it was a cheap home run. As you recall, they lost the first game of that series on a Jose Ramirez fly ball that hit the foul pole. Another game they lost 2-1. I guess the point I'm trying to make is with all the faults we find with the Lions, with the Tigers' lack of hitting, I just think I think the back end of that bullpen deserves some criticism as well. Quite frankly, I'm a little bit concerned about that right now. And the two, we didn't know, well, at least anyway, the American League Central Division so far this year has been pretty darn good. Now they have a stretch of games. In the next 18 games, 15 of those games are against teams with losing records. And I believe 12 of those games are at home. They got the Astros in here for 3, and the Marlins. They're playing some bad teams. They're going to make up some ground. This is the time to do it. And then too, all the criticism we've given Spencer Torkelson. Jason Benetti was on the flagship this morning. So there's someone there asked him about Torkelson sending him down, and I think he brought up a good point. It'd be pretty hard to send the league leader in doubles down to AAA. He is leading the American League in doubles. Going into the 9th game, he had 12. Which puts him on a pace for what, 50? Yeah, well, that's not bad. That's pretty darn good. I think that's it for tonight. I wanted to do a special show tonight. I wanted to give you the good word on Beck Chevrolet and get the commercial in. And again, thank you. I can't thank you enough, guys, out at Beck Chevy. I'll be elaborating on this more on Time Out with Andy Brown, but we are very happy to have them aboard as an official sponsor here now on Time Out Overtime. So that'll do it. Don't forget the Time Out show with Andy Brown tomorrow morning from here locally from 9 to 10 on WCSR 92.1 FM. I will talk to you again on Tuesday night. So until then, happy Mother's Day where it applies, and take care of yourselves, everybody.